Hey everyone, Jason with Wandering Grace Farm. Today was moving day for the goats. It had been a while since we had moved them last, maybe about 3 weeks, and they had eaten all the green stuff out of their paddock. So we need to move them to some greener pastures, if you will. And so the problem we were running into when we started this project today was when we originally put in these squares or mowed in these squares, didn't measure them out, didn't plan them out, didn't make them symmetrical, same size. So this is a square that we were trying to quarter off for these guys, and it was a little bit larger than the fencing that we have. We have these electric fencing, electric netting from Premier One. We're happy with them, but they're 100-foot rolls, which means we get a 50 by 50 square paddock. And so we're trying to make it work, trying to see if we can incorporate the entire L shape that you see here. Try to get them to eat on all of that at one time without having to move them again, but we just couldn't make it work. It was a little bit bigger than the fencing that we had. So ended up getting the tractor and mowing down some tracks, thinking that we had a good plan, a good idea for where to put the fencing up. Generally what we do is we have we have 4 rolls of fencing. So you got the 2 up that you see right here, and then we have 2 that we have in reserve. Whenever we move them, we put the reserve netting up, leave a little pathway for the goats to go through, and then take down the old fencing. And so what we're running into here was the ground was super hard. It's been so dry and so hot that the ground was essentially concrete, and so we couldn't push the posts in, step on them to push them in. So we started to probe the ground with one of these support posts, seeing if there was any soft spots, particularly around where we mowed. And interesting enough, where we mowed, it was a little bit softer. Don't know if it held on to a little bit more moisture, kept the ground cool, kept the sun off, kept it from baking. But regardless, we felt confident that we'd be able to make it work. So we just had to change our game plan from making a square paddock for these guys to making more of a rectangular paddock for these guys. So just had to measure it out, make sure that the size was all right and it would work for the fencing that we had. So hopped on the mower and started to mow the areas, the new perimeter of where the fence was going to be put. So generally what we'll do is we'll take the brush hog and we'll mow our path of where we're going to put the fencing up, and then we'll follow it up usually with a weed eater to knock it down so the vegetation doesn't hit the fence and short out the fence. And so just mowing down those paths right now where we're going to put the fence, and we went back to the start point. This is where our gate was going to be, our opening was going to be, and we started from here working our way down, and it ended up being a lot easier than when we first started. We were actually able to put it in. It was a little difficult, but we were still able to push them in, which was good, up with the weed eater. But we decided to go ahead and just make everything tight, not have to redo it, especially since the ground was a little hard. We didn't want to deal with having to push in 2 different times when it was difficult already. And so we got to the end of this section of fence and realized that we needed to lay it out just a little bit more to figure out where the next section would go. We needed to keep this opening. We didn't want to continue the fence all the way down because we needed to have an opening for the goats to go through into the new paddock. And so we made sure where the fence was going to end and started the new fence section where it ended, and continued putting the posts in the ground. And like I said, it wasn't easy. It was a lot easier for the previous times that we moved them, especially since we were getting a lot of rain, but it's been a while since we've gotten rain. So once we got this section down to the end where the gate was going to be, realized that we're going to be a little short, and this happens. Ideally you'd be able to put all the pieces together and it fits nice and neat, but it's never the case. And so had to mow down an area just a little bit for the gate to go at a more diagonal as opposed to like a 90. And so had to mow that down. But once we got that done, we started taking down all the support pieces, all the support posts from the corners and the sides, because we were going to need those for the new paddock. And we had to redo it anyways, or take it off anyways, to open up the fencing for the goats to go through. And 3 of them decided to go through okay, but there was one that was an issue. I think this was the same one that we had issues with when we banded them. He just didn't want to be caught, and I think that was the same thing here. He just didn't trust us. And so we ended up having to move the shelter, three-sided shelter. It was not a difficult process. Can do it with two, but you can. It's a lot easier with three. Moved all the bowls and the buckets over, and then we continued the fence down, connected the fence. Then we went to grab the gate from the old paddock. So putting the gate in was a little tough, only because the ground was hard, as I mentioned before. But these posts for the gate, they don't have a step that you can use your foot to help push them in. So we had to use one of the support posts that did have a step, try to get a hole big enough, and just essentially try to push them down as deep as we could. But we were able to get it done, able to get the gate set up, get it nice and tight. We went around and put all the support pieces in, or the support posts in. As you see Laurie going around and doing right now, she's collecting all the support posts and going on the sides and in the corners and putting the posts in. These just help keep the gate or the fence nice and tight and upright, so it doesn't blow over. Now she's going to get the energizer, the bread and butter of the whole operation, and she's moving it down to the corner where the gate is. That's where we hook up. And after a while, once everything's set in place, we hook up the energizer, make sure it's good to go, and everything worked as according to plan. So thanks for watching.